that much in certain OP cards, but here we are. We're going to go for the Paladin versus the Warrior, and
All right.
so that means that it is Lifecoach on bottom against Kevin on the top on the handlock, as you can see. So that's the a Molten Giant and a Mountain Giant in hand. Oh, we have not a great start for Kevin. You're going to assume he's going to mulligan away at least, maybe not the Acolyte of Pain, but he's going to
I
mulligan
would
away
keep
most
the
of this.
Acolyte of Pain. I mean, at worst, you're drawing out an Iron Beak Owl that you just kill, which means you can't Iron Beak Owl a Nature Watcher, so it's really not that bad. I'd keep it. It's really not that terrible. And he's keeping Consecration on the off chance that it is Zoo, or...
Yeah, I mean, that's what you got to be thinking. But he gets another one into hand. That's so unfortunate.
And now, you know, Mortal Coil is going to be a free card draw here for Wheva.
Yeah, going to be hero power, as you say, into the Mortal Coil.
Mm-hmm. And there is no Aldor Peacekeeper for Lifecoach.
And Kevin is ramping up quickly here to a Mountain Giant. Has things like Sun Fury and Dark Bomb as well. Lots and lots of early options there for Kevin.
Mm-hmm, very much so.
A Sludge Belcher comes out as well.
That's kind of a roadblock card against Paladin. It tends to really stop them in their tracks as far as building board goes.
For sure. Is that going to be a... Yep, Dark Bomb going to come down and deal with the Acolyte of Pain. Deny 2 card draws. And Tyrion coming to hand. That's not the card draw that Lifecoach was looking for either.
It's really not that bad at the moment, though. But then again, there is a Sylvanas on the Warlock's, you know, side. So if anything comes out that's really excessively threatening from the Paladin, that's just going to be slamming the board down. And Lifecoach just... Yeah, what else are we going to do, really? Like, you just have to play a slow game.
And here comes the first Giant. And there is...
At least now, there is a Sludge Belcher, which wasn't the case a turn ago. So...
But it was because he had the first one in hand.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got 2 Sludge Belchers there, but the Sludge Belcher, that's the only thing Lifecoach has to deal with this Mountain Giant. I don't see any other play here for him.
Well, he has to be thinking down the line what he wants to do, because if he puts down the Sludge Belcher, it's a sacrifice. And so he's thinking about the Consecration follow-ups, right? The ability to finish off the Mountain Giant through Consecration plays.
The Sludge Belcher of his own for Kevin. Is that going to be a... He's hovering over the heal bot there, but he did get an Owl coming into hand as well. And now...
I think the Paladin Sky Golem is a really good play here, just because after you've killed the Sludge Belcher with your True Silver Champion in the 1-2, the Paladin Sky Golem, although it might not be able to kill... You know, there will be a 1-2 slime left over for the Warlock, but if you can then trade your Paladin Sky Golem away.
For sure, but he still can't deal with this very first Giant coming down, and that's going to be, you know, that could be an
how he's going
ongoing
to do
problem.
it. Yeah, he's going to do it with the Paladin Sky Golem if he plays it.
And that's still a turn away.
I mean, alternatively, you just put down Sludge Belcher, and then you kill his first Sludge, and then he smacks the Giant to the Sludge Belcher, which puts it on 2 health, and then Consecration gets rid of it. You have to think like 2 turns down the line in matchups like these, otherwise you're never going to be able to find ways to remove it.
Sure, and you
which
also...
is a bit of an awkward play.
If you're a Paladin sitting against a Handlock, I mean, Handlock is such a well-known archetype at this point. Everyone knows what's in the Paladin deck is the staples. You've got to be thinking, well, I don't want to use too much removal because I got to be prepared for Giant number 2 and Giant number 3 and Giant number 4.
Exactly. So you have to at least keep some options, but I think Paladin Sky Golem is the obvious play.
Okay,
all right.
Another Mountain Giant.
And when you thought it couldn't get worse, it gets worse.
And one of those could get taunted as well if he wanted. But he's not going to go for that. He's going to opt to Mountain Giant for 3 here. But he could still coin out the Sun Fury and taunt one of those up. Would you consider taunting one of these up?
I don't think so. Well, I mean, it's not necessary. You can just silence the because you know he's going to want to kill your Giant with it. Yeah, that's exactly what he does.
Really good play from Kevin.
Yeah, definitely the optimal play here. All right, well, as expected, that's a really annoying turn here for Lifecoach. Has to do, but it doesn't mean he wants to do it. He's gonna have to take a lot of damage from that Giant, but he's gonna have a clear board.
And he's gonna take 8 damage to the face in order to clear this board.
Yeah,
what's gonna come
anti-kill bot
down.
is there, so there is no combo or that handlock that I can see yet. Like, there's no arcane golem shenanigans at the moment, and that's two
Sure.
giants down. So what's left are Twilight Drakes. So, well, speaking of the devil,
Twilight Drake comes straight out.
yeah, just ready to keep putting on pressure. I did this. This handlock has curved magnificently so
This
far.
is, this is just the absolute dream for Handlock, isn't it? You get the Mountain Giant to start, you get another one out just as your first one's starting to come into difficulty, and then when those are cleared, you get a Twilight Drake.
Yeah,
What more could you want as a Handlock player?
yeah, and he's got good follow-ups. He has a Sludge Belcher, his two anti-heal bots in case things ever need to turn around, one Siphon Soul in case of a big drop, and the Sylvanas Windrunner as a very last resort. So, quite frankly, yep, looking good for the Paladin at the moment.
And the Tyrion comes down. That's a pretty decent Tyrion because he has seen the silence already come out. He's got to
Yes,
assume,
indeed.
you know.
Oh,
But there is
goodness.
another one in the deck. Well, there
Oh,
you go.
goodness.
That's one of those tech choices that we were talking about. You know,
Yeah.
a choice that you certainly probably might not make on the ladder, but in a tournament setting, that second owl does come down.
No, but I mean, what you have to do is because the shield is still up and you haven't touched it, you want to steal the Tyrion. And the worst case scenario is the case where you're going to be using the owl. But at the moment, because of Shadow Flame being ready to be used, he's going to try to draw out a silence. And if that doesn't work, and if all fails, then the R&B comes down. But this is excruciating for Lifecoach.
But he can. I mean, can Kevin not just? He can Shadow Flame the Sylvanas next turn, and take
Yep.
the Tyrion.
Yeah, but it's all about. I think Lifecoach might be considering putting down a 1/1 and trading into Sylvanas with Tyrion just for the sake of potentially not getting completely wrecked by it. Because if Tyrion is stolen, Lifecoach is going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah, that's going to be a big problem.
Very much so, and he's got very little to feed. Like maybe a 1/1 and an anti-kill bot.
There comes a Sludge Belcher.
Yeah, and Tyrion is going to get stolen. At least most of
Well, he's going to kill the Drake
Sludge
off.
Belcher. Yeah, but like you attack the Sludge Belcher here, then you Shadow Flame, and you're guaranteed to get. Actually, you could Shadow
Guaranteed to
Flame
get-
straight up, but you're guaranteed Tyrion no matter what. Yeah,
Yep, that's true.
attacking the Sludge Belcher guarantees the play. All right, well, Paladin's biggest threat has been removed from the board and given to the Handlock player. Yeah,
Antique Healbot has got to come down this turn, you think?
oh my goodness. How I would not like to be Lifecoach right now.
He's got to play the Antique Healbot, and then
Consecrate, because if he consecrates first, he can then. Does he run Harrison Jones? Because if he does, then he might have been hoping to find it. Like that would explain. I don't know. Do you not think that the better play last turn was to just try to kill Sylvanas with Tyrion and give him a 1/1?
I think definitely there were plays that the life coach could have made that. I don't know. I guess maybe he didn't think that he had the Shadow Flame. Or wasn't thinking about all the ways that the Warlock could have ensured a definite Tyrion steal. But
Yeah.
it's often very difficult, I guess, to get yourself into the mindset of, well, how can I
This is
lose
game.
this really big threat so easily? But that is going to
Alright,
be
just-
game.
Yep. Silence of the Watcher, then Defend of Argus, and the game is done.
What
That
a
is
way
exactly
to win for
10
Handlock.
damage. Yeah, I mean the Sylvanas, like everything fell into place for the Handlock player there, with the Giant into the second Giant, forcing the Paladin to take an extra 8 damage they didn't plan for because he hadn't seen the second Giant that early, and then the Twilight Drake comes down, and then Sylvanas on an untouched Tyrion. This is one of the worst circumstances you could hope for.
For sure. It's and this has to give Kevin probably the advantage, you got to think, because as we were talking about, the Paladin into the Warrior is a poor matchup for the Warrior, and
Yeah.
with the Paladin eliminated, and this is what I was alluding to when we were talking about lineups. You have to make that call whether or not you start with the Warrior and give yourself the Handlock as a backstop, or whether or
Yeah.
not you try and take out the Paladin first and hope he picks into it.
Yeah, I
Here
mean,
we
right
go.
now it all depends on like the deck of Lifecoach. His Handlock. The question is, does it actually run a lot of anti-aggro or anti-control? Because it really comes down to the build that Lifecoach is running himself. All right,
Is it a
Twin
double Big
Watcher
Game
is in the
Hunter,
hand
or-
here.
Is it double Big Game Hunter, or is it double Hellfire? Those are the sort of choices that a Handlock can make.
No, it makes all the worlds of difference.
And we can see the Twilight Drakes coming in for, and it's
Both players actually. That's
yeah,
both players have a pretty nice hand here. It's not amazing, but they can both curve pretty well.
definitely. There's 2 Ancient Watchers, 2 Twilight Drakes, Owl coming in for Lifecoach.
Mm-hmm.
Big Game Hunter. That's going to be crucial for Kevin to deal with the first giant that comes out.
Yeah. I mean, he will be holding on to it for a little while because there are no giants at the very moment. But definitely. And now I think Lifecoach coning out Twilight Drake just to start applying pressure is the right play. Because the counter pressure is going to be Twilight Drake. But then you have your second one and you can, worst case scenario, silence his. So this is pretty strong here.
So Twilight Drake versus Twilight Drake, and there's a second one to come down from Lifecoach if he fancies it.
Yeah, and now the question is, do you life tap Iron Beak or do you Ancient Watcher and Iron Beak the other Drake? Because either way, you're going to have to kill that Twilight Drake.
Yeah.
This
you're
is
going to
going
have to use
be
the silence to do it.
Yeah, and the question really boils down to life tap versus Ancient Watcher at this point. And I feel like life tapping is probably the better play because you don't have a second owl or any taunter to enable the Ancient Watcher in the immediate sense. And the less things die from an AoE, the better off you'll be.
He does have Lotheb for a turn 5 play, but is he thinking about life tapping to maybe get himself a more optimal play?
Yeah, probably for the following turn or the following turns, if I should say.
Ragnaros coming in. We don't see that in Handlog every day.
It's been played in the past, but hasn't been the most popular thing nowadays for sure. It's yeah, definitely not the most common. All right, I'm actually looking at this right now. The Twilight Drake's like it protects you from an Iron Beak counterplay, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's kind of what he's got to be worried about right now. It's if I kill this Drake, does he have the Iron Beak Owl? If I don't kill the Drake, sorry. Yeah.
He's betting
on no Iron Beak. Yep.
But there is a Sludge Belcher. In fact, there's 2 Sludge Belchers in the hand for Kevin, so that's going to slow him down substantially.
Yeah, I think the Hellfire is what makes Lifecoach play this a bit more aggressively, forcing the opponent to go face. I mean, he's opening himself up to Hellfire plays, but that was still the case, so he is fine with it. Definitely. Wow, Pilot Sky Golem, that's a nice card.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. That fills a slot for Lifecoaches. I guess that, you know, he does have Sylvanas as well. That's a couple of 6 drops, not generally the sort of range.
Yeah, but I like it because it actually gives you a pretty good matchup against something like a Warrior, which, I mean, you've already got a decent matchup against it, but that's solid. And against mid-range Hunter as well, can be very useful to clear out those Savannah high mains. Unlike Kieran Bloodhoof, which tends to just do nothing, at least the Piloted Sky Golem will give you follow-up pressure.
So is he going to trade the 2 for 1 here and kill the Lotheb and drop one of his own, or does he look at a Twilight Drake instead?
The thing is, you've seen Sylvanas from the opponent as a kind of given play, and Lotheb would kill a Sludge Belcher, so perhaps that would be optimal.
Yep,
just
so
dropping Lotheb.
He's going to go ahead and go for that 2 for 1 and drop Twilight Drake instead of Lotheb.
Okay, well he's not worried about the Sylvanas, it seems.
He's not worried about the Sludge Belcher either. And there goes the Sylvanas.
Yeah, well, I think Sylvanas is fine here, but if he's worried about... I mean, he can't be worried about Giants with BGH in his hand. Like, there's no way. He cannot possibly be scared of a Giant to come out. Oh, wow.
Mortal Coil.
So, do you just... Oh, this is actually a frustrating turn.
That's really frustrating, because you could kill the Sylvanas, but you...
So you can't overextend because Shadow Flame, again, same thing as last game, right?
Yeah.
The Shadow Flame risk is real. So do you Hellfire, attack Sylvanas, and then Mortal Coil the Drake?
I mean, that's probably the optimal play at this point. Because you just have to, you know...
And then you play Watcher, because why not, you know? Or actually you can't, you won't have the mana.
Yeah, you don't have the mana for Watcher.
I mean, would that be a play you'd consider? Because obviously nothing else really makes you very happy at the moment.
He's not going to do it. He was probably digging for an owl there, but he doesn't get it, and he's going to leave himself with no option. I mean, he could just pass here or play the Watchers.
Yeah, but I think I was going to say Watcher is actually not a bad play because the opponent does not want to steal that, you know, as an optimal steal. So by forcing the opponent to use his Shadow Flame early, you'd be fine. And you can bet that he's not going to use Shadow Flame right now. But if he kills either of your minions with Sylvanas, she's left on 1 health, and you can Mortal Coil her.
Well, could you not? I mean, you could kill the Ancient Watcher with Sylvanas and then Shadow Flame and steal the Drake after all.
Yeah, but it's not that good of a Shadow Flame, unfortunately. And now this is going to be a pretty sick turn with the Hellfire play. Attack Dr. Boom and Hellfire, I believe. I mean, I'm not entirely sure that's what he is going to do, but because Lifecoach tends to take lines of play that I generally wouldn't consider, but this is probably what I would do.
Lifecoach, the kind of player where he makes a play that you don't understand, and in about 2 weeks' time, you'll be sitting having your lunch, and you'll think, "Oh, well, that's why he did it."
Yeah, that's why he did that, because that play just gave him, 17 turns down the line, that exact solution to lethal.
Because we all live in a different plane of time and space from Lifecoach.
Alright, well, that was still the obvious play for him. He took 5 damage from the Moo bots, not the worst. But considering there are no Moltons in his hand, he probably wish he'd taken a little less.
Yeah.
But now his hand is a powerhouse. Lifecoach's hand is a complete powerhouse.
That Ragnaros, is that going to be a Ragnaros in turn 8, do you think? But Sludge Belcher coming down.
I almost feel like just Piloted Sky Golem is funnier, but I'm also very boring.
I mean, you could Loatheb as well and taunt up
I think
these two
Loatheb and
minions.
Taunt Up is fine. Because you can then kill the Sludge Belcher with your Loatheb. And, I mean, Sylvanas here doesn't feel that amazing.
No.
Since no Giants have come out at all, and you're not really threatening anything. You can just wait until you find your Shadow Flame.
What do you feel about the Antique Heal bot here? If you're not sitting on Molten Giants in hand, and you don't want to let your health get too low.
Yeah, but you're giving him a free body off of it.
It's true. It's difficult, and obviously Lifecoach is going to take a little while to make up his mind, as we all would, I believe. I feel like Loatheb is not a terrible play at this moment. Oh wow, the life tap play. Yeah, Sky Golem. There you go. See, I'm a really boring person. So is Lifecoach, it seems. So you're not that boring.
Oh, it's a pretty boring play. It's one of the most boring plays you could have made in this turn. There are so many fancy plays that lead to explosive follow-ups, but this one is just dull. The Mountain Giant that's been drawn here might come out, but BGH is going to negate it completely.
Going to deal with that. At this point in the game, decision-making that goes into Mountain Giant over Molten Giant.
What is the decision, sorry, of Mountain over Molten?
Yeah.
Well, the amount of mana it costs, because you can't develop any follow-up board. The life tap at the end here being a little bit of a mistake, but not that big of one, honestly. Because he could have played 2 Giants this turn if he so desired, I believe.
No, I don't think he would have had the mana for it, because the life tap and the mountain cost 5, so he would have only had 4 left.
The first one was 3, actually. Yeah, the first one was 3, then life tap, then play the second one for 3 again, I guess.
In fact, he got the second mountain off the life tap, so he could have played that as well.
All right. So I believe this turn will consist of a very simple big game hunter and trade, perhaps double Mortal Coil on the slime that comes out. Just to get that extra, because why not, right? I mean, when are you going to use coil very often in this specific circumstance?
I'm not convinced you wouldn't overdraw, though, if you did that.
No, because the first coil doesn't make you draw.
Oh, of course,
and you've already played Big Game Hunter. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. It's, a lot of cards in hand for both of these. If either of them were running a hard handlock counter of a Clockwork Giant, they would be sitting pretty right now, but that doesn't seem much play, I don't think. He's probably thinking about those mortal coils. He's also thinking about taunts.
Yeah, I mean, putting down Sludge is not horrible, or Defender. Like, either or is fine, but I would have probably gone for the double coil. I guess I'm that boring of a player.
I don't think you're boring, Noxious.
You can be a boring player.
Okay.
Yeah, you can admit that to yourself sometimes. Like, I make the boring play. All right, well, this is a really threatening board here from Lifecoach. It doesn't look like much, but it really is a problem.
Particularly when we haven't seen any giants coming down from his side yet.
Yeah, nothing's come out, just like straight up bulky mid-range stuff. Nothing massive.
There is an Owl in the hand and Shadow Flame, Siphon Soul, Hellfire. Lots of options for
There's a good
for
play. There's a
Kevin.
good play with a Shadow Flame here. I mean, if you just play Giant, then you silence the Golem. You can then Shadow Flame perhaps the Watcher, and that will kill 3 out of 4 minions on the board, and it will leave you with an 8/8.
That certainly looks like what he's going to go for. He's going to silence the Golem and the Shadow Flame. So we're going to be left with a 5/2 Taunted Ancient Watcher on the side for Lifecoach.
Yep.
Of how can he kill? So he can Mortal Coil the Owl, and he's going to get a Sludge Belcher off that.
Is this a yellow rag turn? No.
No, because if you hit the 1/2 with the rag,
Oh no,
that's just like the worst play in the world.
Yeah, no, you just get Shrek'd by any Siphon Soul or Big Game Hunter play that follows. There's no way that's something.
Yeah, I mean the Siphon Soul could come down on the Ancient Watcher and just destroy you there.
How bad would Mountain Giant Lotheb be, or Mountain Giant Sylvanas?
What about Giant Sludge Belcher?
Almost out of time.
You've seen 2 silences, so that might actually be optimal. Because I mean, he's got to be afraid of dying to some kind of just some awkward combination of Dark Bombs and Hellfires. He is on 12 health, so if the Giant goes through at any point, this is really problematic.
Yeah, so he's gonna put up that Sludge Belcher.
Yeah, definitely. You're right. Definitely. It's the safe play, obviously, until he can drop down that anti-heal bot. It makes a lot of sense.
It's interesting as well. You think a lot of players think that maybe taunting up the Giants is a good idea, but a lot of the time, we do see some Black Knights still running around. It's often the optimal play to taunt up things like Ancient Watchers, things like Sylvanas, Lotheb, even Antique Healbot, rather than taunting up the Giants and protect your Giants.
Yeah, I mean, against Handlock, sometimes you'll see a Siphon Soul substituted out for a Black Knight. So it will happen once in a while, but it's one of the few matchups where you can somehow justify it in control mirrors. Because Black Knight has seen a lot of playability nowadays because of Ram Druid just being all over the place. Alright, so is a Hellfire play here with Molten something you would consider? Or do you just not bother and just, BGH afterwards? I mean, you could do all of that. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say you could do both
because
of the Hellfire. He's going to get a 2-mana Molten Giant. In fact, he's going to get 0-mana Molten Giant because he's going to life tap first. That's a really, really good play.
Wait,
BGH.
wait. Is this kind of where you top deck Dark Bomb and win? No, it's not.
No.
If a Hellfire was in the hand of Lifecoach right now, he'd be ecstatic. Unfortunately, that is not the case.
And how does Lifecoach survive here?
I mean, Sludge Belcher doesn't even do it because Siphon Soul.
Siphon Soul kill. There's so many outs here for Kevin. I mean, there's so much damage on board.
Wait, what if you Sylvanas and Sun Fury it? Is that ever something? I mean, or even Sludge Belcher, Earthering Farsi yourself, then Sun Fury.
I mean, no, because then you can Siphon Soul whatever he steals. Can you?
Yeah, but if it steals something, then you're good. You at least need one thing off the board. I mean, Sylvanas plus Sun Fury would be semi-playable. Okay, what if you Lotheb to prevent Siphon Soul, then you Earthring yourself and you play Sun Fury between both?
Possibilities.
Just put up as many taunts as possible. Yeah, he's gonna life tap. That's dangerous.
Wow, that is not at all what I expected. I think this is way too risky.
You gotta go. You gotta go Lotheb here.
No,
I think
it's over. This is over.
He's gonna go for Sludge Belcher, so that is gonna be it.
Yeah,
Siphon Soul's gonna come down.
Yeah, to play Lotheb, he would have had to play the Earthen Ring and the Sun Fury with it. So this is definitely a game over moment.
And as soon as the Siphon Soul comes out, knows that it's over. And that is going to be it. Kevin is going to go through in an upset over Lifecoach. Wheva Kevin is going to take the final spot.